It's the 31st of August and it's 2022, and my concerns have arisen for any agencies or bodies that would be accommodating individuals that have caused harm to my child in the same building as me. As I've mentioned, there has been legislation and property disrespected, and my good name has been disrespected, my child has been disrespected. And I'm really concerned about the authorities or any of the ministers in Dáil Éireann that would be accommodating those that have caused disrespect to my baby boy and my good name in the same proximity as me. There's a little bit of an issue with obligations not being fulfilled. As I've mentioned, I have a few titles. And as I've mentioned, there's been legislation originate from me. And as I've mentioned, I'm a property owner and I have a very clean track record. So I'm really curious about how debtors and defamers are in the same building as me, causing exacerbatory offences. So there's a problem with proximity, privacy, property, and protection being disrespected with what I hold. And the individuals that are being accommodated in their impoverishment initiative while living off my wealth and my work, and trespassing where they have no right or remit, and where they have damaged the upbringing of my baby boy. I'm really curious about any agencies or authorities that are facilitating these repeat offenders against the state, here in the same building as me, where there shouldn't be any other tenants. There shouldn't be any other tenants in this building. And there have been people coming and going, causing defamation, slander, false reporting, and exacerbation, and putting people's lives at risk with their ASBO behaviour. So there's a problem with what I'm tolerating, and if Dáil Éireann aren't concerned with this matter, then I'm concerned about how you've perceived the casualties that these people have caused already since my child was unlawfully separated from me. As I've mentioned, the United Nations has been made aware since 2019. Dáil Éireann have been made aware of this matter since 2017. And there's an issue of people suffering from identity. There's all different aspects to identity issues. Identity theft then occurs. That's a mental illness. I represent COVID. My work is COVID and COVID recovery and crime prevention, as I've mentioned. And I've concern for individuals that are being facilitated in their neurosis of imposter syndrome and identity issues. So I can't make it more clear enough. The trespassing onto my property is a punishable offence. The damages and harms that were caused to my baby boy, they're really seriously punishable offences. So I'm concerned about any individuals in the same residence as me where they have no right to be, and I'm concerned about the role of the authorities that are aware of my work in crime prevention. I'm concerned about your role as authoritarians in a democracy where liabilities are damaging people's lives and potentially damaging other young people's lives. It's not safe how these people have discussed sacred laws and broken legal, there's been the constitutional laws, there's been the humanitarian laws, and these people have been, I'm concerned. I'm concerned. So I hope the authoritarians and the authorities out there, particularly the United Nations, might address what I'm tolerating. It's unsafe what's going on in County Kerry and the southwest of Ireland, and I'd hate for young children's lives to be put at risk due to bad adults. So if the authorities wouldn't mind having a bit of courage and bravery. The Ombudsman have heard from me since 2017. My child is still a missing person, and there's an issue of fraud and theft going on, and it's making Tralee, County Kerry and Ireland unsafe. So those that have in a short space of time benefited from my legislation input. That legislation is worldwide. It originated here in County Kerry. It's called COVID. And those people in that short space of time between 2019 and 2022 that have disrespected that and all the sacred aspects to this matter as well. The Catholic Church, in which myself and my husband are married, and our marriage, still legally binding, has been disrespected. And our child, our only heir, baptized in a Catholic church, these people have disrespected the Catholic Church, and I'm highly concerned. So there's an issue with people being cheeky and setting a bad example to young children and not paying their dues and stepping where they've no right to be and developing anything without any legal consent or consultation process with the proprietors. Artwork Kilflynn Farm Holdings of my McElligotts from the 1800s is a dangerous matter in this situation of cheeky people thinking they're above the law, disrespecting human life, disrespecting progress. So I have a huge concern for these people that are a hazard to society. The Constitution is being disrespected, so I'm concerned about anybody disrespecting the Constitution and the legislation. If the guards wouldn't mind locating my child, as I've said, and removing any trespassers from my land, that would be really sensible. As for any damages to my bodily integrity or my spiritual purpose by individuals suffering from imposter syndrome, I would hope the psychiatrist would treat that issue of these people that are problematic in society. So there are people in this abode that have been breaking and entering, and that they're putting themselves at risk, and they're putting others at risk as well. So it would be really brave and courageous if sensible adults could do the sensible thing, besides tolerating or suffering the insufferable ASBO behaviour that's going on in Tralee, County Kerry. It's very dangerous, the damages my child was exposed to. Food and hygiene, recovery, COVID, etc. treats any misdemeanours in food and hygiene, and that originated with my purpose. So if the guards wouldn't mind reminding themselves of anything that was a misadventure or misdemeanour against their role in society before 2019, if they could remind themselves of what I've updated you about with what I'm tolerating. As I've said, there's a few issues with me tolerating violations of my protection. I hold a few important titles, and I'm tolerating really deplorable behaviour. So this is for the attention of the United Nations as well. There are people that need to be removed from my proximity and my property, and my child needs to be located. So if it's not too difficult for people to do their jobs, that might be really helpful to people's futures.